When I returned to the Riftbreaker to tackle the Middle Terror DLC, the experience was both familiar and refreshing. I enjoyed the initial release on console, though the gamepad support needed work, and the campaign felt padded out by lengthy research times. Thankfully, Middle Terror is a more compact and cohesive experience that entertained me, but also reminded me why I stopped playing. An hour each night between other games quickly turned into nightly sessions, and then entire weekend mornings disappeared. The Riftbreaker's compelling blend of base building, juggling resource allocation, tower defense elements, and twin-stick combat make for a distinctly Moorish experience. The Middle Terror DLC can be accessed from fairly early on in the campaign, after you've built a few core structures, namely the Rift Station Foundation, Orbital Scanner, and an Alien Research Lab. You also need to have undertaken at least 2 reconnaissance missions. A meteor comes hurtling past your HQ, a common enough sight in the main game, but this time Mr. Riggs informs Ashley that it was not following a natural trajectory from the nearby asteroid belt. After studying the unusual metallic composition of the debris, a scan for similar deposits reveals a new region on Galatea 37 that looks nothing like you've seen before. Now, while the Riftbreaker has an interesting premise, tons of dialogue between Ashley and Mr. Riggs, and a seemingly never-ending codex, storytelling was never its strong point. The same holds true for the Middle Terror DLC, but the shorter, focused string of missions, with several instantaneous research rewards, make for much better pacing. An early encounter with biomechanical lifeforms and the ruins of an alien starship kick off a back-and-forth quest to discover the fate of another colonization effort gone awry. At first, it seems you may just be dealing with the remnants of an expedition, but it soon becomes apparent they may still have a presence in orbit and control over parts of the planet. This mini-narrative does a good job of bouncing you between locations and escalating sieges, but it also fits in nicely with the existing themes of reckless colonization. For returning players, you can consider the Middle Terror DLC a chance to unlock some situationally useful structures, some new weapons and gear, and a new branch on the alien research tree. For newcomers, or those starting a new run just for the DLC, it's compact enough that it doesn't interfere with the flow of the main campaign, and it also gives you something more interesting to do while waiting on those major research projects. The mission flow is broadly similar to that of the core game. You arrive at a new location, scout the terrain, investigate an important location, and establish a fortified outpost against a new roster of particularly dangerous foes, dubbed exomorphs. Now, the exomorphs fill the same basic function as Galatea 37's insane flora and fauna, but there are new complications that make outpost defense more challenging and force you to rethink your layout. As an example, swarms of metallic dragonflies function as basic rushers, but they can now fly over any terrain and attack from any angle. Rolling cube-like forms are easy enough to kite and destroy on foot, but they explode on contact with walls, making it essential to have multiple layers of defense to avoid a sudden breach. The biggest foes you'll encounter are lumbering bipedal mechs that combine devastating close-range attacks with an artillery-like plasma launcher. Oh, and of course, there are some weird, non-hostile flora and fauna to encounter as well. Now, to make matters worse for you, events escalate quickly across the Middle Terror mini-campaign, so you'll be fighting large hordes early on. The upside is that most locations you need to secure are far more forgiving in their layout, with more natural choke points and a higher density of basic resources, think carbonium, ironium and cobalt, within a defensible perimeter. Sure, it is beneficial to have invested some research into defensive structures, but the sieges are never impossible, especially as the new mission research rewards are primarily focused on defense and power generation. Introduced quickly in the first new region you visit, Morphium liquid is found in pools around the metallic biome and is used to power unique structures. In the opening missions, you'll first run pipes to existing Morphium towers to clear a path to the alien ruins, but soon these become part of your arsenal. These provide an effective area of denial tower that modifies the surrounding terrain, exceptional against the aforementioned rolling cubes, and they only require pipe Morphium to function. Similarly, the Morphium power plant, especially once upgraded to level 3, is highly efficient given its low construction cost and minimal Morphium consumption cost. These new structures are particularly useful when quickly establishing, powering, and defending an outpost on the metallic biome, as all you'll need to do is find a pool of Morphium. That said, there are new layout challenges, as the above-ground piping system is far less efficient than simply dropping energy nodes everywhere. If you've been playing the Riftbreaker frequently since launch, the Middle Terror DLC might feel a little light on new structures, gear, or game-changing technologies. The narrative detour is entertaining enough, and it expands on the universe, possibly providing a sequel hook, and it slightly alters the existing endgame scenario, depending on your final choice. For new players, it's smartly integrated, and it feels like a natural part of the overarching quest line. What I appreciated just as much, and this is a free update for all players, is the ongoing quality of life upgrades. Make no mistake, building defenses and running power nodes while under pressure are still tough on a gamepad, but it's easier now with smarter automatic placement and default behaviors. There are also some new updates like being able to place turrets on top of your existing defensive structures, with an automatic refund for the original, and the ability to toggle the selection box size for quick repairs or mass upgrades. If you've not returned to the Riftbreaker in a while, the Metal Terror DLC is a cheap and entertaining excuse to lose a few more weeks to its compelling gameplay loop. If you've never tried the Riftbreaker, consider this a reminder that it's a lot of fun, well priced, and still part of the Xbox Game Pass service for both PC and Xbox Series consoles.